Well, hello, welcome one, welcome all to 2024. We are back here with the Simufur stream. It is wonderful to see everybody back for the new year. We have some series lined up for the end of January. We'll have the Ferrari Challenges starting on Fridays in a couple of weeks, and the main Pro Platinum Invitational starting on Sunday. But for the time being, we are having a bit of a race that you'd more expect for a new year, but it's a few weeks after the new year now. We're deciding to do it now after everybody's had a bit of time to have their hangovers. You need to be a bit more sober for this one, as crazy as it looks. It is the Blame Bladewolf one-off, where we have decided to say, right, how can we make an ACC race as crazy as possible? Let's take the Maseratis, which have no assists in them whatsoever, around Bathurst in absolutely flooded conditions. As we can see, people have got about 6 minutes to get adjusted to this before we go straight into qualifying, which is, well, it's trial by fire for a few people. We've got some new drivers joining us just today, as well as returning ones, and it's going to be more about survival than being the fastest, I think.
Yeah, that's survival is going to be an understatement here. It is going to be just, if you make it through this race without having any incidents, I tip my hat to you, because this is one, in the dry conditions, this is an unforgiving track. Add on the stormy weather in a car with no assist in any way, shape, or form, and you've got a recipe for mayhem, just absolute mayhem. And I'm all for it. This is a fun way to start off the year with just complete and utter chaos, and this is going to be extremely exciting.
Yes, absolutely. And I did forget to mention, I am your commentator for today, Azure Go, and our other commentator is Wolfin Foxdale. Please say hello again.
Hello.
And we have the wonderful Denak assisting us with cameras and broadcast today, so we can focus on talking to you, which I'm sure you would love to hear.
Yes, absolutely. Having a Denak here will be an absolute help, especially with being able to focus on cameras and everything else. It takes a load off us, so thank you, Denak, for everything.
Yes, no, we are going to be using this as kind of a test bed for the rest of the races coming up if broadcast is possible. Unfortunately, as has already been pointed out in the chat, rain has washed away a lot of people's paint today. It's not a technical issue, it's actually the rain at Bathurst. Trust me, it's acid rain. It's just doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, don't worry. We are totally not having technical difficulties. Everything is fine. You will not see the Rooster Teeth technical difficulty sign pop up any second now.
As we see slight pause in the stream as another livery joins. For anybody in Simufur who has had custom liveries running, this is a common occurrence, and almost a game to see how many yellow flags you can cause in the practice server by joining with your custom livery.
It's almost like you just snap your fingers and everybody just suddenly decides to just stop and hope that they don't hit a wall, or that they're not on a good lap, because that would also be incredibly unfortunate.
I don't think there's any such thing as good laps in these conditions. We're not going for fastest laps today, we're going for the least slow laps.
This is true. This is very true. It is. I wouldn't even call them like the not fastest. I would call them the survive laps, because you have survived. Congratulations. Congratulations, you have survived the lap.
You have survived in style, and as cheesy as it might seem, under these conditions, I believe that anybody that is able to cross the line with the car not completely totaled is a winner today.
Yes, absolutely. It is, like, I will tip my hat to anyone that has made it through this race, even if they spin out or have any issues early on. If you finish this race, you know, that's good, because you have survived, and that's the most important thing as far as this goes.
Well, speaking of the least slow lap, we can see one of them immediately with Oraz crossing the line with a 2 minutes 40.7, which is quite impressive given the conditions. I have done some testing laps myself around here, and one, my tyres blew after a lap, and two, I was barely able to get it under 3 minutes. So anybody here that is getting any kind of pace outside of that is far better a driver than I in these kind of conditions.
Yes, and it's like I didn't even. Hats to you, I didn't even try. Like I looked at this, I was like, "There is no way I'm surviving this." So I will give you the most credit, and I will say I chickened out, and I am proud of it. So I will happily take that monitor as we see Orez get a little bit loose heading up the hill, and but was able to save it in these absolutely abysmal conditions. It makes me glad we are if we were actually doing this, it makes me glad that we are in a nice warm commentary booth and not in the miserable rain.
Yes, no, I did make about 10 attempts at testing for this. I wanted to see what I could do. As Oraz gets a bit close to Zephyr. Zephyr's livery looking very snazzy, no bias whatsoever. As
yeah.
And now they get Oraz is getting some wonderful practice being able to follow a car in these conditions. There has been no practice server for this event, so nobody has really been able to get any practice driving around other drivers. As Zephyr does come off, may have just missed the wall, not sure, but Oraz does do a very good job of avoiding them.
Yeah, it looks like they didn't hit the wall. They just kind of slid off to the side, and if they did, it was a very light tap. So hats off to them for making it, not having that issue with Zephyr, and for Zephyr not hitting the wall too hard, if at all.
Yes, I think everybody's expecting some kind of damage to these Maseratis. I'm hoping that they've got good insurance on these cars today. And this is just the practice session. We haven't even gotten into any competitive sessions yet. People will be coming into their last laps now. I think Oraz might just be able to squeeze out one more lap, but they may not even be able to get into finishing this lap before the overtime clock finishes. We shall see, as laps are ranging between, well, high 2 minutes to low 3 minutes.
So that's going to be an average time for this track amongst everybody. It's just, this is such first off, it's a demanding track on the dry, as I stated earlier. But add on the extreme wet conditions in a car that you have just almost no assists in a car that really should have assists in. It just adds on, and you're just not going to have like an extremely fast time. And to anyone that gets it under 250, I applaud them now as Oraz gets really loose going up the hill and spins. No contact there, but they're going to return to the garage, and we're going to follow, I believe that is Randomy heading over the crest and down toward, God, I can't remember that turn for the life of me.
But it's coming down Mine Shaft.
That's Kyalami.
Oh, is it? Oh, yes. Well, maybe I should be looking at the track map a bit more myself. The chase. Yes, that was it.
The chase.
We finally chased the correct corner name down. As Randomy for Heinz Ketchup comes around the final corner. As we can see, the ketchup clearly didn't like the rain, as there is none left on the car.
Yes, it has ceased to exist as we finish here, and we are now following the 272 of Newt with. As amusing as I am, I know exactly what this reference is, and I believe my team principal is going to get a little bit annoyed, but this is just in team jest, and it is amazing, and I love it. There is no bias whatsoever. Oh, as we see, I think that's one of they got really loose coming out of the chase, and they spun really deep going into the.
Thankfully, the embarrassment for them is gone already as qualifying starts, and we have cars going onto the track immediately. I don't know who will be following first as qualifying starts, but okay, we are experiencing a slight technical issue on our broadcasting side. Please hold as we get to see more of the cars exit the pit lane. And yes, here we go. I think we're getting some of it back now. And I believe that is Randomy out first, but we are following Simon Luck, who is someone who only joined us in the last season of last year, but quickly proved to us that they are one of the fastest drivers we have available at the moment, and they did already put down quite an impressive lap at the end of the practice, I just noticed. So we'll be following them on their outlap in their wonderful black and orange car with no team name.
You could almost assume that they are Take Gang, but they are not. As far as I am aware, they are not Take Gang. But it is very similar. You could almost it is quite a nice quite a nice livery though.
Yeah, it looks like they may have volunteered themselves for Tig Gang Racing, and this is their application. But we shall see as they come through the skyline curves. I'm going to have to look at the track map again. That is Sky. No, those are the S's, and then we're going through the Dipper now, and we're coming towards my favourite corner, Forest Elbow.
Yes, at Forest Elbow, especially in a corner with no grip in the dry, and even less grip in the wet. But as we see Simon Luck, no problem whatsoever as they head down the back straight toward the chase. Hopefully they will not have an issue, because as they go up this hill, you've got to remember, even in these GT4s, you do get a little bit of lift going over that crest and then into the chase. You could get a little bit of oversteer, which then instantly turns into snap oversteer with the weather. And I think that's probably what happened to one of at the end of practice, where they just kind of hit the chase just a little bit wrong and then just went straight into the sand trap.
Yeah, I think Simon at the moment, though, is with their rallying experience coming to Simufur, having played a lot of WRC, has made it look easy in just their... Well, that was actually just their outlap, but even with their outlap, a 3:16 is not a terrible lap. As we actually come into the first corner now, Hell Corner, ACC TV, saving the embarrassment of us getting the corner numbers wrong again, as it tells us. Going down Mountain Straight now. In fourth gear, this is one of the only places you'll probably have your foot fully down in these conditions. Coming over a slight hill now, which you may have to lift for occasionally. Quarry Bend coming up now as we actually get into the mountain. These are some of the only overtaking opportunities you may have in the dry, but in the wet, I think it will be all freebies in terms of overtakes today. Turn 3, the cutting, again going wide on the exit, and then, well, it's turn 4, the cutting as well, apparently, but that is a good inside entrance. Griffin's Mount. Ride Park, see, we're getting a whirlwind tour of all the names now, and I'm trying to keep up, as... that one's also Reed Park, okay.
As we head into Solomon Park, turn 8, as we heading toward... as we head toward McFallowey Park, which I think that is the sun. I believe that Sunset, or never mind, Skyline is turn 11. Wow, we are now entering the S's. This is very interesting as we head down through the Dipper and on our way to Forest Elbow. Now entering turn 16 into turn 17, the Forest Elbow. Nice and easy, taking it easy as heads down toward the very long and fast straight down the Conrad Straight.
Always a sigh of relief as you come down Conrad, actually being able to put your foot down again. Although even coming down here, there will be a slight lift as you go through Chase. Even in the dry, you may have to do that with the Maserati. It does have one of the better aerodynamics of a GT4 car, but we're not thinking about that too much as we come through the final chicane of the track. A lot of cars can come off here in the dry, so we'll see how many can make the wet, as Simon still makes it look pretty easy coming into the final corner. Murray's corner. And we will see the first time posted today in qualifying of a 2-minute 32.9. Considering the times we've been seeing in practice before and after the server went up, that is incredible. Definitely setting the pace.
Yes, definitely setting the pace as we follow along with Bladewolf as they make their first run.
This is actually Orez.
Orez.
Similar livery colours.
Similar livery covers, and I failed to pay attention to the actual grid. As Orez heads toward the turn 1, they set a time of a 49 130 as they get loose heading down off that first corner. They were able to save it, but that's going to be a lot of time lost as we have a little bit of trouble. I believe that is
Swingley.
Yeah, that is Swingley. And that is, I believe, yeah, that's heading down up to turn 3. And now let's see what happens. It looks like probably just a little bit of oversteer. They get deep, nice and easy, and then, yeah, that was it. They
just a bit too early on the power. There is no such thing as too late on the power when you're trying to drive one of these in the wet. We have to remember that Kunos never intended these conditions to be raced in. This was put in the game to point out to people watching GT cars in real life, asking why don't they race in these conditions, and this is a good reason why. Even on top of that, in real life, the Maserati teams would tend to... Their strategy for wet races would be to pack up the car and go home, because the Maseratis were never meant to race in wet conditions, and any other GT, even with the assists, was not meant to be racing in these conditions. But of course, this is a simulator. We can afford a few bangs here and there, so we're going to see just how bad it can get.
Yes, and who survived the longest, as so far it looks like Simon's time has not been beat. Randomy is what looks like a full 2 seconds off, as we keep an eye on the timing at the moment. It looks like it's going to be for the so far for the top 3. It's Simon, Randomy, and Newt, followed by Connor Wolf and Bladewolf, as we follow Weiss coming down Sunset into the Dipper, and it looks like nice and easy for Weiss. They are so far the fastest AM driver in this series. Thing I should point out is that our races are divided into classes. We have Pro, Silver, and AM. This is all based on their time, and when you join a race, you join as a national driver, which means you do not, in a championship, do not gain any points, and it is used to determine your pace in which class you'll be in, and Pro being the fastest, and being the slowest, and that's basically how it goes.
Yeah, so we have a few new drivers joining us today, completely new actually. We have Jay in the national class, currently in P10, and we have Connor Wolf, who confidently signed themselves up to Pro immediately and is already showing why they should be there in P4. A real trial by fire for our new drivers today, and hopefully it won't discourage them from driving in the future.
Yeah, I hope not either, but remember, remember making it very clear that yeah, this is not going to be an easy race. This is not going to be a race that is, going to be very competitive. This is let's see what happens and see if we can survive.
Yes, as Jay looks like they may be catching traffic with Weiss here. Jay being another one of the new drivers. We don't know where they will be, but it's good to see them here. They have made a lovely livery, I will point out. A livery good enough that it hasn't been washed away by the rain, so that's good to see as well. I think Weiss will be someone to watch out for as well, considering they generally do not enjoy driving GT cars, from my knowledge. They like having no grip in driving much older cars, and therefore, actually, they're loving these horrendous conditions that many of the other drivers are not enjoying anywhere near as much.
Yeah, they in old school cars like this is just a cakewalk. And remember, in the old days, they drove in conditions like this because the only thing that mattered was the sponsors and the money. Damn the lives. But things have changed now. We care about drivers and their safety, and that is the most important thing. Please remember.
Well, of course, in real life, racing with safety is paramount, but this is a simulator, so some rules that can be ignored, and worst case scenario, people can teleport their cars back to the pits. So people can drive in the conditions they normally wouldn't, and allows us to have these wonderful experiments like we have today.
Yes, and that's fun, and then we get to see what happens when you do something like this, and maybe why you sometimes shouldn't do things like this, but it's a fun experience, and for us, this is going to be an enjoyable experience to commentate. 1 hour around this track, and we'll see where everything lines up.
I have been seeing in practice beforehand, not just people sliding off and crashing, but people's tyres blowing from flat spots caused by the Maserati, especially in these conditions. But even so, in the dry, you can get many flat spots with this car. And that will be another thing to look out for. Maybe people will be driving on 3 wheels at some point, 2 wheels. There will be a mandatory tyre stop during the race, so there will be some respite. But even when I was driving, I had tyres blowing after 1 lap, so hopefully nobody else has that same experience.
I would like to point out that it is not a mandatory tire change; it is a mandatory fuel change. The tires are not required. However, it is recommended, especially in conditions like this. I'd also like to point out that we do have a position change. Wuschel in the car 69 has taken the P2 spot away from Randomy. I was unfortunately not able to see the time that was posted, but they are now in P2 overall with 8 minutes left in qualifying.
Wuschel's lap was a 2:33.2, only 3 tenths off of Simon's, and they do currently have the fastest sector, Sector 1, so a very nice car number and a very nice lap, for sure.
Yes, and now we get to keep an eye on everything. It looks like we have a few drivers that are either equal or improving on their times. The biggest one being Bladewolf. They are about 0.7 off their best time, so they are on a charge. This could be, if they keep this up, this could be one heck of a lap. They're just going to be with. There are now. Oh my gosh! It's now almost 2 seconds improvement. They keep this up, that's going to be a pretty good maybe even a couple place changes here as we keep an eye on Bladewolf heading down toward the S's.
Bladewolf competing for the silver class, as we currently have ACC TV having a slight technical issue again. Weiss is ahead of all of the silver drivers, though, at the moment, clearly showing what they definitely prefer, and that isn't GT racing, apparently.
Yes, and as we see the Maserati heading down the hill, heading on its way to Conrad, down the dipper into Conrad Straight, down toward Forest Elbow. As they head down on the Conrad Straight, it will be Bladewolf still on a 1.9 improvement. This could be one heck of a lap by the end of it. We'll see where they lined up after this.
Well, the event is named after himself, the Bladewolf one-off, or as I like to call it, the Blamewolf one-off. So we shall see if they can keep to the name of the event and at least give themselves the silver pole position. Allraz is ahead of them at the moment, but as they come through the last few corners, it looks like they should be able to improve enough to take that place off of Allraz with 5 minutes to go.
Yep, and as we see, they have a 1.3 now. They are losing a little bit of time on the final straight. As they finish the lap, it's going to put them 1 spot ahead, which is basically going to be pole for silver. So awesome job on Bladewolf. They are
braking. Connor Wolf just took the fastest lap from Simon Luck. It's only by 7 thousandths of a second, but they now have pole position from Simon, and Simon's going to have to push a little bit more if they want to take that place back and have the pole position for this event.
Yeah, they're going to have to really push, and this is... So Connor did say they were going to enjoy this race, and now they are showing why they decided to set themselves up in pro. They're doing well, as we see Connor getting really drifting wide. Heading up into turn 3, they're able to save it, but that's so much time lost. That's probably just going to be a lost lap with only 4 minutes left. That's one lost lap could mean very much a lot. As we see Weiss getting really loose, going down to something you don't want to get loose there. As they head down the hill, and thankfully that will be no more incidents there, hopefully, but they are slowing down a fair bit. Their tires may in fact be gone.
Yes, they admit if they really want to come out for one more lap, they maybe have one chance to do so, but that would involve them parking up and teleporting back to the pits now. We only have 4 minutes left of qualifying, and with the current pace, that only gives people one more chance to set a lap after this one, I would believe. Connor Wolf won't be able to get an improvement here. We're already 4.5 seconds down from where they... And it looks like they're slowing already, but judging by the times. Simon Luck is still pushing for a lap, but has no improvement at the moment. Wushel is 0.2 up, looking to see if she can take any more places, but still looking solid for a podium at the moment. Randomy is 1.2 seconds behind Wushel on current time, looking for any more improvement as well. Newt is at the back of the pro grid, with the exception of MNU, who has yet to set a lap.
Yeah, MNU has not set a lap, but then they've probably been having a lot of trouble trying to set a lap. Sorry. Or they may be playing some 4D chess and maybe not wanting to set a lap and just trying to survive by starting at the back of the field and then working their way up from the cars that spin in the early game. Who knows? You know, it could be anything.
Yes, anything could happen, and we can see a lot of drivers out of place as they, again, are driving in conditions they normally would not be expected to. Connor Wolf on their debut, still looking to be taking pole position as it stands. Simon's going out for one more lap, as we can see on their out lap. Wushel is currently on an improvement, which may be enough for them to steal pole as they come through the last two corners. This could be their pole position, with Cohen following just behind them. They might have just lost the time through the chicane. Can they get any more through the final corner? Looks like it will be an improvement.
But no gain, no position gain, unfortunately. So they will have, this will be it. This is the last chance for all of these drivers to set one more lap, as we have trouble. This looks like Swingley. I can't particularly tell where that was, but they went wide. We'll have to see what happened there.
That was Swingley's qualifying over.
Yeah, that's Swingley's qualifying, unfortunately, over as they head up. They're on their way up the hill. It looks like they're heading into turn 6, I believe. And let's see what just happens. Yeah, there's a bump there. And it looks like maybe they took it just a little bit wrong, tried to correct, and with the weather and the no traction control, it just caused them to spin.
Definitely why they normally wouldn't be racing these conditions. We've got a few drivers that have parked up for now. Newt's back in the pits. Bladewolf is back in the pits. Swingley, Zephyr, and 1V are back in the pits as well. None of their positions are final unless anybody behind them can take their lap from them. As Simon spins, and that's their qualifying over. Connor Wolf will not be challenged by Simon here, the TIG Gang aspirant. Wushel has one more chance to be able to potentially take that pole, and
I also like to point out, Jay, I just noticed on the timing screen there is a 1.5 second gain on this lap. Jay could take either a big chunk out of their gap between him and Wheeze, or this could be a very... Oh no! Into the forced elbow, claims another victim. That was one heck of a lap. And unfortunately, that's now going to be an invalidated lap. That's so incredibly unfortunate. So it looks like by the end of this, it looks like Weiss will hold on to their AM pole for this race.
Yes, it looks like a lot of the positions are sorted now. Connor Wolf, from what I can see, has caused a yellow flag. And that looks like their qualifying will be over. But as it stands, they seem to be sitting pretty on pole position. Very impressive for their debut. Jay also very impressive for their debut. P2 in amateur, finishing ahead of drivers that have been with us for some time as well. Definitely not anything to sniff at. The flag has come down. This is definitely the end of qualifying. Only a few people still left on laps. And positions are being finalised. I think that's Jay coming into the pits now. Cohen crosses the line. Will they be able to take any more places with their improvement?
Yes.
That puts them up to P9, ahead of all of the other AMs, with the exception of Weiss. I believe that is just Weiss and Randomy left on laps now.
Yeah, and that now puts them third in silver, right with Orez and Bladewolf. So that's going to be a nice spot for them. However, the three of them are now in an AM sandwich between Wheeze and Jay.
Yes, that'll be definitely interesting to see at the start and see what goes on. Jay is Nat, but for the time being, it looks like they have bested a few of the AMs. Again, a very good debut for them. Randomy is currently breaking even on time as they are the last person out on track. Weiss has crossed the line with no more improvement, but they have definitely scored their AM pole. Randomy coming through the S's after having passed Skyline. They'll be coming closer to Forest Elbow now. A slight time improvement, but they need more if they want to get that podium position off of Bushel or even further ahead. This may just be solidifying their P4.
Yeah, solidifying their P4, and they're using every inch of this track, unlocking their inner finish, man. I have been watching this car bounce left and right all down the hill. They are flying down the Conrad Straight. They have 0.2 seconds gained. It will not be enough to gain pole, but it may just...
I apologize. Simon is still out on a lap, and they do have an improvement as they lose a little bit on the exit. Could this be pole position being taken in the final corner? Any corner seems to be gaining or losing time at the moment. This is the last chance to take pole. Do they have it?
Oh,
no, they're off into the grass. That's it.
That was it. They got really ambitious on the last corner.
Randomly about to cross the line now with a 0.2 improvement, but that will not be enough. Wolf in their first race in Simufur, in the Bladewolf one-off in these horrific conditions, has taken pole position. What an incredible drive from them.
I guess we now know why they decided to take pole or take pro when they first joined. Sometimes people think, oh, you know, we can do it, and maybe they're just a little bit off the pace. But Connor knew he had the pace, and now now he proves it in this event. He is now at the very top, and good on him for that.
Yes, very well done from Connor Wolf taking the overall pole position. We have Weiss taking the AM pole and technically taking the silver pole as well in P6. Bladewolf in his named event does take silver pole, so he'll be very happy with that, I'm sure.
Yeah, and he'll be very happy about that, but remember, it's still 2x2. Anything can happen, especially on turn 1, and it's going to be a fight. And you may have pole now, but we'll have to see what happens later.
As the gap between pole and Simon is 0.08 of a second, not even 1/100th. The gap between the top two is 0.025 from Rushell to Simon Connor Wolf as well. So the top three are all incredibly close to each other. And even though we didn't expect to see many battles this race, with the current pace, we could.
Yeah, absolutely. We were kind of expecting like this to be a little bit of a chaotic race, but at the same time, it has turned into something very interesting. These drivers have shown that they can race in these conditions, but survive in these conditions, I guess is the better way to put it.
Yes, absolutely so. And as we have a few minutes to wait for the race start, do you think the qualifying position will change much during the race, Wolfin? Do you have any favorites?
I was honestly a little bit skeptical about Connor Wolf, but Connor proved me wrong, and you know what? I'll put my money on it. I'll say Connor might actually have a chance to win this one. As far as Silver Am goes, Blade has shown that they were able to set out a great time, but I know Blade and Oraz have had battles in the past. It's going to be very interesting. I'm not really sure. I think I have a tie between the two of them as far as Am goes. Where Weiss is now, I think it will stay. They have a very large gap between him and the rest of the Ams. Personally, I feel like it's probably going to stay that way. Suffice any mistakes, knock on wood, and hopefully no commentaries cursed. But I feel like that will be his position at the end.
Yes, definitely. Weiss once again enjoying adverse conditions and cars with zero grip. I think that their position in their class, at the very least, may be secured. But as we saw in practice and qualifying, even with people setting very good times, they were still making mistakes. We do not know for sure who is going to win this at all. It could be somebody at the back. Maybe MNU did play a 4D chess move by not setting a lap at all. We don't know just yet.
Yeah, we won't know until the pit changes are done and the race is over. We'll have to see. This may be a very smart move on their part, because if you think about it, if they take it slow and let everybody die in front of them, they could just cruise on by and hopefully get a lead.
They won't have to worry about battling anybody at the start. They can just run at their own pace, and any overtake would likely be a freebie. So we have a few more minutes for the session to start, as I can see. So, yes, we'll just be waiting a bit longer for the grid. I can see a lot of the cars looking very lovely. The rain having washed away some of the paint, other people clearly using different browns. So they do still get to see some of their liveries. I believe we're about to go to our grid walk now and see who's in what position. Pole position is by Connor Wolf in the number 90, running one of the in-game liveries, which obviously is going to be one of the most solid liveries to definitely be shown during this race.
Yep.
So, Borry, we are about to go on a lovely grid walk now with Connor Wolf on pole position, as we've seen, and Simon Luck for Snail Racing in P2 with a wonderful snail-based livery. Even if with the snail on their car, though, they have shown they are anything but slow. Bushel in the 69 car. Unfortunately, the fish has swum from their car, but they have still managed to take P3. In P4, we have Randomy. Their ketchup-themed livery is completely melted in the rain. And in P5, we have the Bluey car run. Oh, no, that's actually... Sorry, it isn't Bluey. It's Safety Shark. It's Baby Shark. We have the regardless, the Ampol Weiss in another E-Sky car. Two pole sitters of classes running the same team. Bladewolf in... Oh, so we have the cars running off now. We will be able to follow the cars. We'll be able to follow the cars shortly, but we get to see a lovely view of them all passing the camera now. Yes, so we saw Bladewolf in the 142 in their typical livery colours, and Oraz, one of their main silver rivals in the last season, is behind them this time in the 406. Cohen in the 404 livery not found car. The livery absolutely was not found this time, unfortunately. In the 404, they are P3 in silver. Jay is following up after them in the... Well, in the national car, actually. The one national car we have in this race, but they have finished P2 in AM, if that's where they were competing. After that, we have... Swingley, one of our AM drivers from the last season, the car 279 in P11. Zephyr in P12 with the best livery on the grid. Again, absolutely no bias there whatsoever. In P13, we have Wamv, who is currently last place in silver, but as we know, anything can happen. And bringing up the rear in P14, we have MNU underscore in the 808. Looking to see if they can beat anybody with their strategy of starting from the back.
Yeah, we'll have to see. It could work, it could not work, but we'll just have to wait. Because remember, the one thing that they aren't thinking, I don't think they put into account, is the overspray, and it is going to be blinding in weather like this. I mean, we can barely see them in the cameras right now with all the rain going on, and we'll just have to wait and see how this plays out. They are now starting their descent down the hill as we see them trying to warm up their brakes and tires. It's going to be kind of futile in this type of weather, but they are
going to be running cold.
Yeah, exactly. But we'll have to see how it goes as they head down the hill. And we're now at the Forest Elbow on our way to the Conrad Straight. And it's going to be exciting. So,
yeah, with the formation lap going at the moment, someone has already pointed out in chat that surviving the formation lap is already an achievement, and I definitely have to agree with them, as everybody shortly will be going into double file, I believe. There's some people wiggling around the track, desperately trying to get any kind of temperature into their tyres. Even if this is Carnival's first race, they seem to know the drill already doing this. As the others behind will be faced with dealing with a lot of car spray, which they may not have had to deal with already in their solo practice sessions.
Yeah, I was about to say they're getting ready to go double, but they were not. I believe it'll be after. They should be going double any second now. I believe it usually starts at the end of, or at the beginning of the chase, was when they start to go double. Yes,
they're going double file now.
So here we go. They are going double file, heading up toward the Liquid Molly sign. It is almost go time as they head down toward the final corner.
I think everybody should be keeping their eyes peeled for this start. No traction control at any of these cars in these conditions. The tyres will be colder than they ever will at this point, even with people riding the brakes as much as they can. Some people might even have splat spots. We have Connerwolf and Simon lining up at the start. Will Connerwolf be able to keep that lead, or will Simon be able to pip them into the first corner? We will see in just a moment as the light goes green. And we are go, and Simon seems to have a much better start than Connerwolf, but they do have the outside. Connerwolf will be going for the inside, the spray making it very difficult to see for anybody going on right now. Simon has the better line, and they have taken the lead of the race. It looks like Randomy's, but it has an amazing start as well, jumping both Connerwolf and Wushel. Wushel dropping down to P3, and now going to be chasing Connerwolf, trying to get some of those places back now. And that is Newt coming in as well, looking to maybe make it a free wide into turn 3. Not quite, as everybody decides it's probably safer to just go round as is. I think that was someone going wide. Not quite. They are still in position.
It looked like it was Oraz. It looks like they had a jump on Bladewolf, had a really good run, but now they ran wide and going into turn 3 as they start their climb up the hill. As we follow the main group of cars, and it is so far so good. It looks like maybe the smaller field has, for the moment, kept everything nice and clean. As we see, not much has changed. I don't see.
Okay, unfortunately, we're going to have to go to a slight intermission on the stream, but I will do my best to keep you in touch via the wonderful form of race radio as we continue going. Everybody has been clean so far. Some of the cars taking it a bit easier than the others. Suzuka Shark is in the chat and already upset with Newt's livery. We will see what happens with that after the race, but as we go into Forest Elbow and exit Forest Elbow, Simon is still comfortably in the lead. Randomly has taken Connerwolf as well. Connerwolf has dropped down to P3 with Wushel chasing just behind. Wushel is looking to maybe get an overtake of the slipstream, but coming through the chase in these conditions, can they hold it without going onto the grass?
Yeah,
everything seems to be clear ahead of them, and yes, all positions seem to hold coming into the final chicane for the first lap. I can see that we have had one overtake from MNU so far, as Zephyr has Zephyr's now in a fight with MNU _ 1V has dropped back a little bit, but will have now clean air to make back that time. Coming into the final corner and crossing the line, Simon is in the lead with Randomy in P2, Wushel in P3, Connorwolf P4, Newt 5, Weisk following up afterwards. Bladewolf seems to have taken the place back from Oraz and is now into P7. Yeah, Weisk P6, Bladewolf P7, Oraz P8. Cohen, Jay seems to have gained a place from Cohen, as we can see there. As we can now see back on stream, yes, Cohen has, no, Jay's taken a place from Cohen, Swingley has dropped some, and Zephyr has dropped some. It seems to be somewhat, well, a little bit more settled now going into the second lap, as we do have images back. We apologise for the slight radio form for a moment.
Yeah, some minor technical issues as we see the tense battle between Randomy and Simon. Wushel has now actually, it looks like, yeah, Wushel has now taken P3 from Connor, as well as Connor really dropped back. They must have had a horrible start, which is very certain. We have trouble.
And MNU's off.
Yeah, that's MNU. And it looks, oh, that was...
1V's there as well. That's both of them. We'll have to see what happened in the replay. Looks like both of them coming into turn 3 up the hill was what caused the problem.
I don't think 1V was involved. I think it was they just were unfortunate enough to just get caught outside as yeah, it just looks like
Zephyr manages to get past, but 1V looks like they may not have.
No,
they slid on themselves as well. Okay, I see.
Yeah, they slid on themselves and were able to stop just shy of them. Bit of a scary moment, but it looks like all are okay. It just means, unfortunately, that MNU now has to work even harder to try to regain what they lost. And unfortunately, it looks like this 4D move may not turn out to work, and they are now going to have to really work as they work from the back of the pack.
Randomy's really charging in race conditions. They may have gone more for this as they try to go on the inside, but there's no move to be made. Simon holding the position coming into this corner. Surely there'll be nothing done in the braking. No, Simon's very good at holding the position there, but Randomy seems to be the fastest person on track in race trim. Connorwolf, unfortunately, struggling a little bit more in the race conditions, has dropped back to P4.
Yeah, they're doing all they can, and I've just been seeing randomly just push and push and push. As we say, oh my gosh, as we say fastest lap, it had jumped 4 times. It is now up to Connor, who has now got the fastest lap. They may not be pole, but they are now P4 as we have more trouble. That's
going off.
Yeah, that's going off. I don't know what happened there, but it looks like I don't see any damage, so maybe they just spun. We'll just have to see. They're heading up the mountain, and let's see here. It looks like maybe just got a little loose going out of the corner. Doesn't look like anything as
well, that looks like Cohen potentially off again as we went back to the live cameras. That is Cohen coming across the line now, but they'll unfortunately have some significant damage. Randomy's really on the back of Simon, making it not a cakewalk for our Italian rally driver, as they really want to take that position, really not giving anybody any respite they thought they may have had already from these first laps of chaos. Wushel holding in P3 after taking back the position from Connorwolf. Connorwolf still having the fastest lap. This is still a closely knit pack that none of us was expecting.
Yeah, I was not expecting this tight of a fight. It is now Germany versus Italy versus Finland. It is, I almost want to say it's World War II all over again, but it is not. They are bumper to bumper. It is very close.
They all fought on the same side, if I remember correctly. I don't think
that's right. That's right. Forgive my lack of history knowledge. But it is extremely close as they head down toward the Conrad Strait. It is super, super close as it actually now it's starting to spread out a little because it looks like Connor had a bit of a bad exit going out of Forest Elbow. And I'm going to be honest, I'm a little surprised because Connor had an amazing qualifying time, but they've just been not able to kind of keep that for the race.
They're still keeping up with the rear of the pack, though. They're doing the best they can. They have definitely not given up, as we have a... big slide from Connor. There was a slight slide from Wushel, and Connor, unfortunately, slid a little bit more in kind. Newt might be able to gain a position from this, as they're all coming through the chicane now. But we shall see. It looks like Connor might be lucky enough to keep their position, and they will maybe be able to use some of that qualifying pace to now get back up to the pack ahead, as he will not have to battle anybody and have a clear road ahead of him. Randomly takes the fastest lap and has taken the lead from Simon, from what I can see. It looks like that was done through turn 1.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it was done. Actually, no, I think it was done through the last corner. Here we go. Let's see what happens here as they head down into the final turn. Oh, yeah, you were right. It is going to be turn 1. Here we go. Oh, yeah, he had a much better launch going out of that last corner. Here they come down to the straight, and he just absolutely gets it. No problem whatsoever. Simon lets him by, and that is P1 for Randomy.
Yes, that incredible moves from Randomly in the first few laps of this race, but it is still 51 minutes to go. We've not even completed a sixth of the race yet, but Randomly, if their blistering race pace, seems to be pulling away now as Wushel tries to pick up the pieces, trying to overtake Simon and maybe bring the fight back to Randomly. Connor Wolf is able to pull away a little bit more from Newt behind them, with Weiss following just behind Newt, doing an amazing job so far. Bladewolf is still holding first place in silver, with Jay behind, Oraz fighting Jay at the moment. And a lot of the pack behind, they seem to all have mostly been in their own races at this point, which is slightly more what we expected. But let's get back to the action now, looking back in the actual cameras, with Wushel chasing Simon. Coming through here, there is almost no gap between them. One false move could be tears, more tears than the rain on the track right now, but the pros really showing how it's done. Better than some other pros, including myself, actually. I would have definitely binned it by now, but these guys really showing these guys definitely showing that it can be done, and maybe I was just a bit silly.
Yeah, but they're definitely showing that you can actually have a really good race in conditions like this. It is very close. Wushel is on an absolute charge. I think Simon may have just overused their tires getting off that in the early stages of this race, and now he's paying for it dearly because he is starting to really fall off. Wushel's just right on his nose as we see Randomy just cruising along. No real issues. I have been seeing them get a little bit squirrely on occasion, but it's not bothered them at all. As we head down toward the last corner, Wushel is right on the as we see
Simon goes wide. This is Wushel's opportunity. Wushel takes P2, and Simon's still on the podium, but now looking to come onto the offensive. Connor Wolf has taken the fastest lap again. They are definitely not out of this race just yet.
Yeah, definitely not out of the race yet. And that was one. It looks like they may have locked up going into the last corner, which caused them to go wide. They were thankfully able to save it, but unfortunately, it opened the door wide open for Wushel, and they happily took advantage of it.
Definitely so. Any opportunity is an opportunity here. Jay looks like they have overtaken Oraz from what I can see there, or they may just be in a battle. Is that someone off ahead of them? No. I don't think it is. No, they are just actually straight up battling. Oraz looking to try and take the place from one of our newbie drivers, but Jay doing an amazing job to hold them off so far. Coming into turn 3, hopefully neither of them will slide and give them the place.
And doesn't look like it. They keep it nice and clean going into turn 3. Very clean, as we see Bladewolf not too far, we're not too far ahead. So they're definitely taking a happy sigh of relief from this fight, but unfortunately, it looks like Jay is starting to get them. As we see, I believe there's trouble for the 13 of Cohen.
We've had another yellow flag. Cohen's off again.
Yeah, it looks like they spun, maybe going down into turn 2 or turn 1. I'm sorry. We'll have to see.
Yeah, it looks like another turn. It looks like another turn 1 incident. Turn 1 seems to be one of the hardest corners to brake for. We've seen cars lose positions in the final corner and the first corner, and people coming off entirely. But Cohen has not given up. They are still going. MNU seems to have gotten past Zephyr again at some point as we go back to the front. Connor Wolf is looking to get that place back from Simon, definitely closing the gap. Their pace is incredible once more. maybe the nerves of the initial start of the race have worn off and they're just getting back into the groove and really seeing if they can bring it back now. The pack only starting to open up a little bit for the time being, but as we've seen, that doesn't mean that any place is secure.
Yeah, as we see in this on our standings, we see Random has gained 1 place, Wushel has gained 2. Simon unfortunately has lost 2, and Connor has lost 1. But it is anyone's game. It has been fairly close. I would say between our top 4 drivers, there's about 4. I want to say 4 seconds. As we see it happening. Oh, there's trouble. Unfortunately, that looks like that is Zephyr.
As the lead of the pack seem to be swapping fastest laps, Zephyr has unfortunately come off and made a mess of his car.
Yeah, unfortunately they got. It looks like maybe when they headed down the down that corner, it looks like they maybe have just locked up, and unfortunately they tapped the wall. Probably some pretty heavy damage from that, so they'll probably have to come in and repair it. As we return to the live feed, this is, I believe, this is Zephyr heading down the Conrad Straight. Doesn't look all that bad. I don't see the car drifting left or right.
Bladewolf has taken Simon for P3, but we're not sure where the overtake was taken there, but Wolf is back onto the podium. Simon seems to be dropping from them at the moment. There may have been an overtake. Was it coming down here? No, it was already done at that point.
Yeah, it was already. Yeah, maybe they went wide.
It could have been another. It could have been going wide again through the last few corners of the first corner. Seems to be one of the best places to take.
This is going up the hill, so I don't particularly know. I don't think we were able to catch it in time.
No, we haven't. We haven't got the overtake here. Wolf was already ahead at this point.
Yeah, so it looks like
we're just waiting to go back to live cameras. Yes, there we are. Blade. Oraz has gotten past Jay, so Blade is unfortunately now back under pressure from his silver rival. He currently holds the silver lead as we stand, but Oraz has been proven to be no slouch, and there may be another battle coming on just soon from there.
Yeah, they're definitely giving it all they've got, but unfortunately, thankfully for them, they've got about 1.5 seconds to gain, but plenty of time to do it. 45 minutes to go as they make their way down the hill. They are giving it all they can. I was going to say all they got, but it's really all they can. And as we see Oraz get a little bit loose going out of Forest Elbow, they were able to save it, but that's a lot of crucial time lost. They're now 2.5 seconds behind, and that was incredibly unfortunate. But as I said, plenty of time to regain.
I think that's 1v back on the track now after spending quite a while in the pits, but they have had another spin already, unfortunately. They seem to be very much struggling in these conditions, but it's good to see that they haven't just given up.
Yeah, they haven't given up, but unfortunately all that damage they probably had to repair at some point is now back because they bonked that wall pretty hard. So we'll just have to see. They're currently, unfortunately, in last as we follow Cohen. They have now caught up to Zephyr, and it is now a battle heading down the hill. It is fairly tight, but I would very much not advise trying to make a move here as we see them getting incredibly close. As we see Zephyr slowly but surely pulling away, but they definitely... Oh, yeah, they slid wide, and they spun, but they were able to... Yeah, Zephyr unfortunately spun going into Forest Elbow. Thankfully, it did not catch Cohen off guard, and they were able to take the position easily, but unfortunately, that also means that's a lot of damage for Zephyr. They're probably, at this point, I would almost say they probably should go in at the very least to get the repairs done.
Yes, definitely. Unfortunate for them, but at this point, anybody, even if you are a few laps down, I want to say in these conditions, it is a milestone, a success for anybody looking to finish the race. Even if you finish the race in dead last, you should still be proud of yourself for putting yourself through all of this.
Yeah, exactly. This is not an easy race to do by any stretch. As we follow Zephyr heading down toward the last corner. We'll see if they come in now. They may. No, they will not.
No, they've elected to stay out.
Yeah, I think they're going to wait till the pit lane opens, which should be in a couple minutes. Zephyr's definitely very loose, though. definitely a lot of heavy damage on that car.
Weiss, as we come back to Weiss, it looks like Weiss may be catching up with Newt at the moment, and that could be a battle with one of the usual AM drivers against one of the usual pro drivers. And we shall see if Weiss's love for the lack of grip can counteract Newt's general pro class experience. But the gap seems to be closing there. Everybody ahead seems to be more in position than not.
I think I was going to say I think Weiss got a little bit loose heading down into the chase, but it looks like they did not. I was unfortunately.
Speaking of battles, Oraz has caught up with Blade, and this could be a fight for the silver win. Blade obviously definitely wanting to beat their rival, but also have a class win while they're racing the event they've been named after, the Bladewolf or Bladewolf one-off, if you want to make it even shorter.
Yeah, the Bladewolf one-off works.
The Bladewolf one-off, yes, exactly. Blade is just able to hold the final corner, as we know. Oh, is that someone off behind? I think that was Jay going wide.
That was Jay going really wide. I think they may have hit the wall there. I wasn't able to see from the angle we had, but yeah, that was definitely Jay going really wide as we return to the battle between Oraz and Blade. It definitely looks like Jay has definitely has a little bit of damage as we see Oraz and Blade heading down toward turn 3. It is a very close race. I don't think they're going to try to make a move here, as Oraz take a little bit of an outside line to try to maybe make a move on the inside, but no, they get a little bit squirrely going out of the corner. They are now heading up to turn 4. Is there going to be a move? No, but it is.
There's not a lot of overtaking. There's not a lot of overtaking opportunities through these corners. The GT4s might be a bit smaller. The Maserati is actually one of the biggest GT4s, still smaller than a GT3, but through these corners, especially in these conditions, it's generally safe to just follow the car behind, keep the pressure on them, maybe force them into a mistake through Forest Elbow and get them on the straight.
Yeah, and it definitely looks like they were going to try to make an attempt, because Oraz had an amazing leap out of that corner, but they were not able to do it. And I think even with the lights on, it looked like maybe he gave him a bit of a flash, because that was almost bumper to bumper. But
looking from the inside of Oraz' car, you can definitely see it's difficult to see the cars ahead, even with the lights. The pit window has now opened, and we shall see as the leading cars are coming towards the pits. Will any of them go for an early pit stop? Zephyr has gone into the pits now, likely making use of being close to them during the window opening to fix their damage. But I'm looking at the leading cars now. Will any of them come in early as the top 3 come through the corner now? No, none of them have elected to pits. Neither has Simon in P4. Everybody's choosing to stay out for the time being. Connor Wolf has taken the fastest lap again, bringing the fight back to Wushel.
Yeah, they are yet another fast lap, as we see that we have yet another little bit of a train going on. I believe that, yeah, that is the top 3 all bunched together once again. It is now a fight for the lead as we go back to Oraz and Blade. Oh no, I'm sorry, that is Newton Blade.
That is Newton Weiss.
Oh, Newton Weiss. As we see trouble. That's
Oraz. Oraz is off. Oraz is off.
Yeah, that was Oraz. What happened there?
Was this contact with Blade, or was this just making a mistake for the final corner? It was just a mistake for the final corner.
Yeah, that's so unfortunate. But they didn't lose. They only lost one place in a lot of time. And I would think at this point, maybe just try to go for, maybe just get your pit window open, see if maybe you could get him in an overcut if they don't. Hopefully they don't notice, but still.
You know, looking at the grid at the moment, Zephyr is the only person who has pit. 1v already did take an early pit, and they're back in to the wall again, unfortunately. Looks like another Forest Elbow victim.
Yeah,
coming past under blue flags.
Yeah, that was
struggling to get back out as well. They almost got stuck in the wall a few times there. It seems to be jittering around. Might have had a bit too much caffeine before the race potentially, but Weiss now chasing Newt again, as we mentioned before. The AM driver versus the pro driver. Weiss looks solid in taking the AM victory and even maybe the silver victory with Blade 15 seconds behind. But can they up the ante even more and overtake one of the top 5 pro drivers?
That would be a sight to see as we see Olraz there jittering across. I wonder if they got any damage from that, because we're going to go to this replay. Oh, no.
Their tires may be... They may have aero damage. Their tires may be scrubbed. It looks like Cohen is in the pits now, looking to see if they can maybe get any gains from pitting slightly early. I'm watching the top 3 again coming through the final corner. Will any of them pit? It looks again like none of them are pitting. Simufur strategy box telling us that the pit stop time should be about 45 seconds. That's the time they should allocate if they're looking to get some clean air coming out the pits to make any advantage of pitting at a certain time.
Yeah, as we see, Weiss is going to try to keep up this fight. They aren't too far off Newt, so this is probably a smart strategy, at least for the time being, until maybe halfway through. We'll have to wait and see. As we go back to the lead battle, unfortunately, it looks like Simon Luck has...
Wishel's is incredibly close to Randomie here. They've got the inside. This could be an overtake for the lead. Does Randomie try and hold through the outside? No, they don't. They hold off. Wishel has taken the lead of the race.
Yeah, they did, but at the cost of going wide, going up the hill. Randomie is now probably going to have a little bit of advantage going into the next corner. Are they going to try to take advantage of it? They tried, but it didn't
Wishel
work.
Closes the door. There's nothing to be done. Connor Wolf is right behind Randomie as well, keeping the pressure up. Looks like Swingley might have had an issue. No, that might have just been something flagging up that didn't happen. Okay. But no, the top 3 are still incredibly close, even coming to halfway through the race. Simon has dropped off a little bit, but not an insane amount. Newt is holding off Weiss. Bladewolf is in their own race at the moment. Jay and Oraz have their own windows, as does every car behind as it stands. All of the battles are in the top 6.
Yeah, and it is not. It is very, very close. And as we follow Connor with going down the hill, they can see, just barely see the lights as they head down toward Forest Elbow. And this could be anyone's game, and it now will turn down to a battle of pit strategies to see what they will do.
Coming to the halfway point of the race, I definitely think we'll see some more pits coming from the front. That is another yellow flag from Cohen, unfortunately. Seem to be struggling with this a little bit more than maybe I would have honestly expected, but...
they just kind of had a little bit of an oversteer, and that was it. They couldn't save it. But thankfully, they were able
Weiss
to get
has
out of the way.
overtaken Newt. There has been an overtake. Weiss has taken P5 from Newt. I think we've just missed that, unfortunately, with the replay, but that is Newt in P6. Was that anybody in the pit lane? No, it was not.
So this was definitely a overtaking move. Oh, no!
Oh, there's contact.
There was a lot of contact. That well, it looks like kind of ran right through them, but I don't think there was anything that Weiss could do, because that was right in Forest Elbow. And what happened was...
Connor Wolf has overtaken Randomie for P2. Connor Wolf is now back up to P2 and chasing Wishel for P1. Randomie holds on to the podium for the time being, with Simon having a similar gap behind for the moment. None of them have chosen to take an undercut in the pits. Only Cohen and Zephyr have pitted so far.
Yeah, and that is very... it's very telling. It looks like they're going to try to go as long as possible without needing to stop. Probably the best thing to do in a situation like this, but still.
Oh, that's Randomie in the wall!
That is definitely Randomie in the wall, but it doesn't look like they lost too much time, but that's definitely damage.
There'll be a little bit of wall riding at the moment. They can take a bit of aero damage like that, but this isn't the official NASCAR races. They won't get in trouble for it. That is another yellow flag from Zephyr as well. Oh, yeah. I think they've lost it again. They're coming through the last few corners.
Oh, no, it was coming out of the chase, and they just spun. That was unfortunate, but thankfully they didn't really cause any damage, but their tires are definitely now scrubbed.
Yes, and that's Randomie off. That's Randomie off again. Simon's now right behind them. Wanv off as well. Simon's having to weave through a few accidents here. But Randomly just about holds on to P3. How much longer can they with the damage? Should they come in soon and get that sorted?
I would say now, because that was a very hard hit. It looks like they missed their braking marker and just locked it up going down the hill, and that was that. As we see Randomly at Forest Elbow, they've crashed again. That's so unfortunate.
That doesn't look quite like a crash, but it is Simon still chasing behind. The top 4 battle has been incredible. All 4 of them have been in the lead at some point of this race. And with still more of it to go, I think we could see more change to the lead. That is another spin from MNU underscore.
That's MNU, and they
we have another yellow flag from Swingley at the moment on the track live.
Yeah, that was I think just Swingley trying to avoid MNU because they quarter pocket.
Simon is into the pit. One of the leaders is now come into the pit. We shall see if they can get any undercut opportunity on the top 3.
Yeah, we'll have to see as we follow Simon and see where they wind up, because remember, 45 seconds is going to be the pit time, and that I believe is just for fuel. So we'll have to see if maybe they extend it by getting new tires, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, with the amount of people have been spinning and sliding in the later stages of this first half of the race, we may see people choosing to take tires.
That's Bladewolf.
That's Bladewolf off.
Yeah, it's definitely Bladewolf off going into the last corner, and that's into the tire barrier as well. And it doesn't. Yeah, they were way too early on the gas, and it caused them to spin. But it does not look like they hit the tire wall, which is fortunate for them. As we get back live with Randomly, they are still in P3.
They have chosen not to pit with their damage. They are still going around. I'm not sure if that's the best strategy, but it isn't my call. It is Randomly's call. They may go for as long as possible. Wushel seems to have gotten a bit of a gap from Connor, but Connor is definitely still going at it and still has the fastest lap. Weiss and Newt are currently ahead of Simon, but Simon is now back out of the pit, and those 2 cars ahead have not pit yet. Simon could potentially win out on strategy here.
Yeah, it could, but
we have hit the halfway part of the race. There is only 30 minutes to go, and only 10 minutes left for our drivers to take their pit stops. MNU is now in the pit themselves and is dropping places to the people who have yet to pit.
Yeah,
we'll see where they come out.
I expect to see Wushel or Connor pitting at some point within this lap or maybe the next, just to get it over with. But it is still a very tight battle. As we see Connor, they kind of got a little bit deep going into the chase, but they were able to save it. Looks like no issues whatsoever, but that was a bit of a risky move to gain some time as we head down toward the last corner. Are any of them
pitting? No, neither of them have gone for the pit entrance. They're still staying out. Will Randomly go into the pits? Randomly is still staying out, even carrying the damage. At this point, I'd assume that they're probably looking to carry that damage for the rest of the race.
Yeah, I don't think they've pit either, as far as I am aware.
They have yet to pit.
Yeah, they have not pit. All right, so
Connor Wolf is catching up to Wushel here. The gap is closing slightly. Wushel still not feeling the pressure and managing it well, but Connor and Randomly do seem to be the 2 fastest cars in race trim as it stands.
Yeah, and right now it looks like Randomly, even despite the damage, is still trying to gain on them as Connor Wolf gets a bit of a wiggle going up into turn 3. No big deal though.
Newt has now entered the pits and Simon has already jumped them on strategy.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see.
Blade and Oraz have both entered the pit on the same lap. This will be interesting to see who wins out in the pits for their current rivalry. Both of them are carrying damage. We'll see if either of them fix their damage to see if it's worth getting the place on track.
I'd also like to point. I'm going to point out. I don't think Bladewolf got any damage from that spin. I think they just barely missed the tire barrier, but they may be going for tires, and then Oraz will probably go for repairs and fuel to maybe save some time. We'll just have to wait and see. once the standings update as we follow Jay heading up the mountain, up to turn 3. No big deal whatsoever. They
Still
are
carrying a bit of damage, but managing things well.
Yeah, looks like they're just going to try to see if they can make up some time as we see Zephyr. I believe Zephyr is off again. Maybe just a bit of a wide moment. Oh no,
that was off
wide.
track. That was a full 360 spin.
That was a very nice pirouette.
With the Ridge Racer Type 4 livery, that car is used to being sideways if you're on the PS1, but we are on modern PCs. You do not want to see it spinning that much.
No. As we follow along with Cohen now heading up the mountain, been kind of, even despite the issues, Cohen has had more or less a kind of a quiet race. Maybe a battle one or here or there, but it's been more or less kind of quiet other than the spin and damage. And now they're just trying to gain what they lost. We just have to kind of see where
Bladewolf has now come into the pits. They will be looking to see if they can get an undercut on Wushel. Randomy is now also finally coming into the pits. That leaves Wushel out by herself with 6 minutes left on the pit window.
Yeah, it seems like Wushel is just going to really stretch this. They must be feeling incredibly comfortable to be doing something like this, and maybe they're just going to only go for a fuel-only strategy. We'll just have to see.
Wushel seems to have managed things very well. I don't think I've seen them in the wall or sliding a lot. Their tyres might still be good. They might feel like it's worth just taking it easy with a second stint, but having a shorter pit stop. Weiss has overtaken Connor and Randomy, but that is without them pitting. They still have yet to pit.
Yeah, just have to see. Maybe they're probably going to even go for an overcut. As we see, Connor Wolf is now heading out. Is it going to be? Yeah, they're going to
It's definitely ahead of Randomy, so they are going to still be P2 after everybody ahead has pit, from what I believe. Actually, no, Simon has gotten well ahead of Connor. Both of them have come out the pits, so that is Simon definitely making use of the undercut and is now ahead of Connor Wolf. Connor Wolf will have may have fresh tyres now, will have some extra fuel. Any damage they could have potentially had will now be fixed. Randomy is still in the pit fixing their damage, and that is new off again.
Yeah, that looks like they headed maybe just another moment going into the chase. Yeah, they just had a bit of a moment going into the chase, and thankfully nothing bad, but again,
Randomy is finally moving off and has finished their pit stop, but they have dropped a few places here. They've dropped places to Simon and Connor, and Jay is yet to pit, so they should get that place back, but we shall see. Who is that off again? I think that's MNU. That is MNU.
Yeah, that is 100% MNU, and that was a hard hit into the wall.
I think the rain has gotten into their electronics, and they're really starting to suffer. The car doesn't have electronics, but the Protogen definitely does.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the toasters do not do well in rain when it comes to wet weather getting into their systems, but they are trying and they're giving it all they can, and that is hats off to them. And they are still holding a nice P10, so they're going to do all they can.
They have definitely made some advantage from, and the leader has come in, so that is all of the leaders having come into pit. I think Weiss is coming through the chase now. Weiss might take the lead if they don't pit this lap, but they will be cutting it very close. If they stay out, any big mistake could make them miss their pit window. I would expect they come in now, and do they? They do. They do come in.
Yeah, they are absolutely. That's the only smart thing to do at this point. You're the last to pit. You've gotten everything you can out of this car. As we see, Wushel is now running off. Is it going to be enough? Because I definitely saw Simon look heading down in the last corner. It's going to be close, but I think Wushel has it.
No, they've got a huge gap. They've got a huge gap there. I don't think Wushel's gone for tyres. Wushel will likely be still running the tyres they had already. Jay has come off.
Yeah, Jay definitely came off going out of the chase. Is that... Yeah, they just kind of went a little wide and unfortunately touched grass, and that was it. But again, the fortunate thing is, even with these spins, only a few of them have been with a little bit of damage.
Yeah, so we see Weiss and Jay have come into the pit now. The only person yet to take their mandatory pit stop is Wamv, actually, but they are several laps behind as it stands, and probably just looking to make it to the line. I don't know if they are worried too much about taking their pit stop. Weiss has done an incredible job so far, though, to keep it where they have. Connor does take the place back and is now back in P3. Simon has about a 10-second gap to Wushel, and Connor has a 5-second gap to Simon. Randomy back up to P4. With a 50-second gap. Randomy has a lot of charging to do if they want any chance of getting back up to the top 3. I think they might be out of this race, unfortunately, even if they do steal back the fastest lap.
Yeah, unfortunately, even with the fastest lap, it's going to take really an incident to really put them back on the podium. Yeah, but I don't really see that happening. So hats off as we see more trouble. Is that MNU? That is MNU. It looks like they hit the wall yet again as they head. I believe that's MNU going out of Forest Elbow, and unfortunately they almost hit the wall there, but they did spin.
Yes, unfortunately so. Connor Wolf running in P3. 1V has entered the pit, so that is every driver having taken their pit within the pit window. Car 117 has received a stop-go 30 for speeding in the pit lane. That's Jay, so they're going to have to take another pit stop. And that is crushing for how well their driver's going so far. They're definitely going to be dropping back further.
Yeah, that's so bad. It's so unfortunate. They must have either forgot their pit limiter or something, and now they're going to have to serve another stop-go. That's so unfortunate, as we see Connor just getting a little bit wide going up.
That is Jay
up the hill. That is Jay. I'm sorry. That is Jay going up the hill as we follow M&U. That is a lot of damage on that Maserati. It has not been an easy race for them.
I don't think Flex Tape's going to fix the toaster this time. Toaster bath has nearly fully occurred, but hopefully we shall see them still cross the line by the end of the race. Simon Luck is still 10 seconds behind Wushel. The potentially fresher tyres Simon has does not seem to have made much difference. Wushel really managing this race very professionally.
Yeah, but unfortunately, here's the big thing. They now have 2 cars to pass that are both blue flag. 1V wisely just letting Wushel by, and here he comes to Swingley. Swingley's now going to have to try to find a spot. I'm sorry, it is not 2, it is 3 cars. He is now Zephyr getting in. Oh no, that was contact with Swingley and Zephyr. They with Zephyr getting shoved into the wall, it looks like, as we see Wushel just barely getting around it, as Swingley, well, they now are in an awkward spot as Swingley's now trying to find a spot to let Wushel by, and thankfully they were able to, as Wushel now surviving the chaos that had gone on in front of her, now on their way down the hill.
Wushel can breathe some sigh of relief as they come through Forest Elbow this time, as they know that while they may have lost a lot of time passing those cars, it will be Simon's turn to do so next, and then Connor's turn after that. It's definitely not losing any time net just yet, as I think that is Jay coming into the pit to serve their penalty. And Zephyr coming off the track again, letting Simon through. However, Simon may have gotten lucky being able to pass these cars on the straight and may have gained quite a bit of time to Wushel.
Zephyr almost lost it going on the Conrad straight. It looks like they went really deep but then lost control. Or maybe they had a piece of that foam board that they absolutely destroyed going into the grass, but they were able to save it. But Zephyr is having a very rough time trying to keep that car on the road at the moment. We just have to see if they're going to keep it.
In Zephyr's mind, they are definitely at least not last, as I currently see Randomy getting past Cohen safely. Wushel has lost a little bit of time overall to Simon through passing those cars, but only a couple of seconds. There is 17 minutes left to go in this race, and unless Wushel makes any major mistakes, it looks like it may be falling into her clutches. Oraz now trying to get past, I believe that's Newt.
That is Newt, yeah.
Newt is carrying some damage from some previous accidents. I can't remember. I don't know if Oraz has since pitting. Looks like their car's relatively clean. Oraz is taking the inside. Is Newt letting them have it? I think from here they might have to. Yes, they do.
Yeah, they do. I'd also like to point out that Oraz was able to get by Blade at some point. They are now the silver lead, and it looks like they now have a very large gap. It's a 2-second gap, but not enough to breathe a sigh of relief, but definitely one where you don't have to be as worried as we see Blade getting really loose going out of that corner. It is. I wonder, do you think Blade maybe didn't go for tires, they went solely for fuel, and now it's starting to bite them?
I think maybe. I haven't seen them go into the wall or anything, but it does look like they tried to take the opportunity of not taking tyres, and it may be biting them now. Unfortunately, even if it seemed faster at the time, once the tyres drop off even further, that pace loss is just so horrendous. Bladewolf is catching up to Simon and looking to take P2, as Simon has dropped more pace to Wushel. Bladewolf still looking to take P2, even if they had the pole position, and their opportunity might be coming up soon, as Simon has yet to pass Swingley.
Yeah, Swingley has been on a bit of a... Despite the damage, they have been going fairly fast enough for the pros here to not be able to catch them, as Swingley is, I guess, desperately trying to keep that car on the lead lap, but it will not last forever, as we see Simon and Connor catching right up to Swingley. I would say at some point you begin to wonder, like, is it worth it? And it's getting to the point where it might not be. They may just have to let them by at this point.
I definitely think from Swingley's perspective it'd be safer to just let them by, but at the time being, Simon would definitely be hoping for that. Bladewolf may be hoping that Swingley doesn't. Swingley might be a little bored, stuck in their own race, and might want to have a bit of cheeky fun, but of course that would be to the benefit of our newer driver. Against the Snail Team racing car, Wushel still very comfortably ahead there. I think we did see another yellow flag from Zephyr in the back, but that hasn't changed their position at all, with Wan V a few laps behind.
Yeah, as we follow on board with Swingley, they are right there with him, and I did see a flash from Connor. Yeah, and now they're doing the smart thing. They're letting off and letting them both by. And yep, they both get by nice and easy, as we see. I think Connor got a little bit wide going out of the corner to let them through, or to get around Swingley. But
it looked like Simon got the better deal getting past Swingley just there, just being able to do it on the straight, where Bladewolf did have to compromise their line going into turn 3 a little bit more, but that hasn't stopped Bladewolf. He is still on the charge, chasing Simon, making it not an easy race for Simon at all. Bladewolf is on the back of Newt, looking to gain back any positions possible here to try and get back to Oraz, but that is now a growing gap. He really will hope that Oraz makes another mistake.
Yeah, that's really the only thing you can do at this point. We have a lot of really good laps. Bladewolf is doing all they can to kind of get back up to Oraz, but you've got 13 minutes left in this race, and that's not a lot of time to gain that gap. As we see Bladewolf going wide, that was really wide. That was into the sand trap wide, and
they're
now
still sliding a bit. Yeah,
they were definitely back. Yeah, they lost their traction a fair bit, and that is all that time, all that effort lost, and I believe that might be a game over for them.
Zephyr has taken another pit stop, I believe, to fix damage. I think they might be cutting their losses, knowing that there's nothing to be gained, but if they fix the damage, they may still be able to, enjoy the fact that they were able to finish this race. 1V is back in the pits themselves. We haven't seen if they are going to come out yet. Hopefully they will. I think we had another slight yellow flag from MNU in the back there as well. Bladewolf has dropped off a little bit from Simon, but is still not giving up. Simon doing the best they can to hold on to second place. I think at this point, Wushel has clearly safely held the lead with no real issues shown in the past 50 minutes as we come to 12 minutes left in the race.
Yeah, 13 minutes actually. It's 12:40. 12 minutes, 37 seconds, but yeah.
Close enough. I round down. I'm optimistic. When I'm in the car, I want the race to be over as soon as possible. I round down. I'm optimistic. For these guys, it may be another lap, but some of them may be hoping not. Some of them looking to get that last position may be hoping so.
Yeah, definitely. We follow Simon going up the hill. We see Connor giving it all they can. The one thing I have noticed for Connor and Randomy is that they really like cars with a lot of understeer, because these cars are just drifting around these corners, but they're keeping it stable. As that's Zephyr
again.
Yeah, right at the top of the hill. Is it? Yeah, they get a little bit loose. Do they have any wall contact? Just a little bit of a touch.
That looks like they potentially could have a puncher. We were expecting some punches from drivers today, having seen them in practice. We'll see if that is the case, but so far still going ahead. Wolf is still catching on Simon. Jay is now in to serve their penalty, and Cohen has gained a free place from that as well. Cohen back up to P10. 1V still in the pit. We don't know if they're still fixing heavy damage or they have called it quits. As it's really close coming towards Forest Elbow, this could potentially be an overtaking opportunity for Wolf if they get a better run on the outside. Simon using more of the track on the exit. Looks like they just about missed the wall on exit, and they have got a slightly better run, I think. I think they are safe for this straight, but Wolf does have the slipstream, reducing the aerodynamics they have even further. Will that make them a little unstable with Constantina effect coming through the chase, or will they be able to hold it? Looks like they will, but that was definitely style points for the drift. Randomly is catching potentially a little bit, but nowhere near enough. Or that was a mistake from them, actually.
Yeah, it looks like it. Maybe they're heading up the mountain, and did they hit the wall? No. Maybe just a little bit of.
Oh yeah, no, there it is. There's the wall hit.
There's the wall.
Oh, and there's the second wall again. There's the third. No,
not a third. Just a second.
No, okay. Saw there might have been some magnets on the side of the car there for a bit. I think the Heinz catch-up might have stuck them to the wall a bit further, but Wolf has made the move and is back into P2.
Yeah, Connor has finally done it. It looks like they were able to do it into turn one. Let's see where
it's the final corner again.
It was the final corner. Well, it wasn't the final corner. He just had an amazing launch going into the final corner, and then it was a drag race heading down the main straight into turn one. And at that point, Simon just conceded the place, and that was an amazing run from Connor.
Definitely so. I think Simon's Achilles heel has been the last turn and the first turn in a lot of these battles, but is still doing a great job to keep up with the top three. P2 at the very least. Wuschel has checked out of this race, and I think the race is hers. Withstanding any commentary curse, as they
yeah, I was about to say. Well, they were able to get by Zephyr, and that also means that now Connor and Simon also have to get by Zephyr, so that may shake things up between their battle as Wuschel works their way down the hill on their way to Forest Elbow, as they've had a kind of a quiet race after they were able to take the lead. Their pit stop was more or less flawless. As we see, Bladewolf has now caught up to New. They are making a move heading up the into turn one. Is it going to be enough?
They force Newt wide a little bit. They will have the outside for turn three though, and I think it is advantage Newt.
It's advantage Bladewolf. What a run off Bladewolf. They were able to get the draft, and now they are gone. And that is another position for Bladewolf. But now 8 minutes to regain 14 seconds. I don't think it's going to be enough, but that was an amazing run from Bladewolf.
A great run from Bladewolf and a consolation prize for losing the silver lead from them being able to take it to one of the pros at the very least. Emma New is in the pit again, fixing damage from what I can see, as Connor Wolf is 9 seconds behind Wushel, now in P2, has already checked away from Simon a bit. Simon's 2.5 seconds behind, just about. And Connor Wolf now has 7 minutes to try and make it. They have the pace, but I don't know if it'll be enough of the gap that Wushel has been able to manage so far.
Well, that might help them. That was a bit of a wiggle for Connor Wolf. It won't be a lot of a gap, but it'll definitely start to maybe give Simon a little bit of hope that maybe they can regain those 2 seconds. But now Connor is on an absolute charge. I like to point out they have held the purple lap this entire for the majority of this race, and now, unfortunately, they're now going to have 7 minutes to gain about 10 seconds. I don't know. It might be close, but I don't see it coming, as we see Wushel getting really loose going up the hill. That was I'm beginning to wonder, maybe they went for a fuel strategy, and then those tires are now starting to really feel it now.
Yeah, they'll be lucky to have not gotten any punches so far. Incredibly well driven to not get that. Connor Wolf is definitely charging, gaining nearly a second just this lap. But there is only about 3 laps to go, maybe 4. Wushel, I think, has had the strategy of being not quite 100% on the pace in terms of having a couple of cars faster, but just being able to manage the race that much better, whereas the faster cars are making those rare mistakes. Connor Wolf now playing catch-up. They definitely are playing catch-up. They are the fastest car on the track again, catching up to Wushel and definitely pulling away from Simon. Randomy seems to have kept the same amount of gap to Simon, so they are not gaining any advantage at the moment. We still comfortably holding the AM win and the silver win. Oraz and Blade are in their own races at the moment.
Yeah, and I like to point out, going into Forest Level, I noticed that Connor got a little bit of a wiggle going into the corner, but they were able to save it. But again, that's time lost, but not a lot. It's still a 3-second gap between him and Simon.
Yes, any more mistakes and that could definitely happen. On my own camera, I've just seen randomly sliding around a little bit, but they're still just about managing their gap and in their own window for the time being. They probably won't be happy with a P4 considering their pace at the start, but at the same time, still doing very well to stay where they are in the top 5.
Yeah, they've been having they had a really good start. Unfortunately, due to an incident, they weren't able to really capitalize on it, and they are now locked in a P4, but that's still, in a race like this, that's still a really good job.
Definitely so. Gap for Connor Wolf to Wushel is now 8.4 seconds. Connor Wolf is clearly pushing all they can, likely where they're having some slight slides here and there. They're just getting everything they can out of that Maserati. Once again, I remind you that Kunos never expected people to be racing in these conditions. That's 1v off again. I saw them enter the pits for a 3rd or 4th time just earlier, and this is them off again, unfortunately. But I do have to commend them for their tenacity and the fact that they are still going and they're not just parking up and calling it quits.
Yeah, they're giving it all they can, but unfortunately that also gave both Simon and Connor a bit of a heart attack. That's into a blind corner, so when they came out of that corner, there was Wanev right there. And thankfully, both of them were able to get around it just fine. But unfortunately, it did cost Simon a little bit of time. They are now 4.5 seconds.
Connor Wolf doesn't seem to have lost any time from this. They're now 7.1 seconds away from Wushel. There's only 2 or 3 laps left of this race, but Connor Wolf is really doing all they can and hoping Wushel makes any slight mistake. They are 6.9 seconds behind now. That is Swingley off again.
Yeah, that's Swingley off again. I have noticed that turn 5 and 6, it has been just a killer for some people. That was a pretty hard hit, and thankfully, the one thing I will commend people for is that even with these incidents, I have not really seen any drivers hit other drivers. It has just mainly been cars going off in these horrendous conditions. And the drivers that do wind up catching these cars have done a very good job at avoiding any incidents and continuing on.
There is some advantage of having a smaller grid, but unless you're in the top 4 and you've been racing for the top positions all this time, this race has been not so much driver v driver, but driver versus the elements. Sometimes even working together to make sure they all make it at the very end, I want to say. That is another couple of yellow flags there, I think, from MNU and from 1V, but that could be just letting faster cars through.
Yeah, well, let's see what's going on. This is MNU.
Oh, that's another wall.
Ooh,
bonk.
that's not a.
That's not letting them through.
through.
That's another wall bonk.
That is a very firm bonk into turn 3 as we get back to MNU live. Ooh, that was a bit of a scare. I don't know, were they able to save it? Yes, they were. Thank God. That was very scary because it looked like they almost lost it there, but now they're on their way to sunset and still trying their best to keep their car intact.
Seem to be managing it just about enough, even considering the damage on these cars. I definitely don't think this race will be sponsored by Maserati anytime soon if they go for it. Connor Wolf is still gaining time on Wushel, but here we have Oraz trying to get past Cohen. It is under blue flag, so Cohen will let them through.
Oh, yeah, it is. That is Cohen. I'm sorry. They both had almost 404 liveries, and Cohen is letting them by. No problems whatsoever.
Yes, Connor Wolf has brought the gap down to 6 seconds. We only have 1 minute 15 left. Where is Wushel on the track? I believe this may be the final lap. I don't think we will see another lap after this one. Wushel really guns for it. The gap is down to 5.3 seconds. Connor is giving it absolutely everything. They might know they can't catch Wushel, but they're doing everything they can to give as much of a gap to Simon as well to make sure they still have P2.
I'm wondering also if Wushel's maybe trying to let the clock run down. 46 seconds. It's going to be close because they are now on the Conrad Straight. I believe this
There might be another lap. There might just be another lap, but we'll see as Wushel takes the final few corners. The gap has increased again to 6 seconds.
Yep, 6 seconds. 30 seconds on the clock. Will there be one more lap? It's going to be insanely close. Here we go. Last corner. 19 seconds on the clock. What is Wushel going to do? I think they have it. They very well might. We'll just have to see. 10 seconds.
10 seconds. They're about to cross the line. Yep, there's another lap.
Yeah, there's one
5 seconds to go. There is one more lap. I don't think with the gaps left, anybody will be happy with this. Maybe except Connor Wolf. Connor Wolf has brought the gap down to 5.1 seconds. Simon looking to be consolidating P3 and have to be happy with that for now, even with their incredible performance. Wushel has one more lap to hold this gap. They may want to take it a little easy. Connor has the pace, but they do have the gap. They do not want to be making any last mistakes just now.
Yeah, no mistakes whatsoever. They just got to cruise through this race as we see. Oh, that's trouble. That's Bladewolf. That is Bladewolf in P7. What happened there? Did they just get loose?
Yeah, I
they
think they came back onto the power a bit too closely through Skyline. They didn't want to do that. 1V is off again from what I can see on the track here.
Yeah, but back with Wushel, they have one lap around left. And it has been, that was super close. That looked like they almost hit the wall there as we get back to Newt and...
Connor Wolf, a yellow flag for Connor Wolf. That looks like it was a mistake from Connor Wolf as the gap is gaining. Did Connor Wolf finally make one big mistake for themselves? It looks like it was.
Yes, it was. Oh, no. We initiated initial D there. They were able to save it, but unfortunately that now seals the deal. It is now Wushel's race to win, and all they have to do is drive as we follow M&U and Blade heading down the hill. I believe... Yeah, no, that is not Wushel. I believe Wushel should be coming...
Wushel is coming down Conrad Straight towards towards the chase now. This is
Yeah.
100% the final lap. We have completed 24 laps of Bathurst in these conditions. Nobody thought that we'd have so many battles as we did today in the first half. The second half seemed to be more, as we expected, of a don't die race. And one person who has definitely not died at all today is Wushel. Wasn't always the fastest driver on track, but handled it well. They cross the line and take the win. An incredible drive from them. A nice number, a nice race.
Nice number, nice race, and an amazing run from Wushel. They started P4 as they slide it into the turn 1 off ramp and are deservingly celebrating. They had a great run.
Bladewolf takes second, Simon takes third.
Yep, Connor Wolf in second, Simon in third. They both had an amazing race. That was a very nice run. As we see randomly on the chase, they are going to solidify their P4, and Weiss, who is 27. Oh, as we say,
Randomly going for one last drift. I think they're doing. I don't know if that was on purpose, but they know what they've got. They've got P4. Are they having drifts for the hell of it?
Yeah, they might. We'll have to see as they head down toward the last corner.
One last corner, one last. That looks like it's a drift for fun. But they take the line in P4. And Randomly was one of the fastest people here. Unfortunately made a few mistakes, but still very well done to take P4.
Yep, and that is swingly across the line as well. They will lock in P9. And
at second place for P. So, yes, P9 and AM class P2. Weiss is about to cross the line, take the AM win, take the silver win, if you want to call it that as well.
Yeah,
well done to them. We knew they'd do well in these conditions, and they definitely showed they would. Auraz about to cross the line now. They take the actual silver win. I'm very unfortunate for Blade, but Blade will be coming soon enough.
I believe they already passed. Because
they have already crossed. No, they haven't. No, they're still racing.
They are still racing. I forgot that
there's only a few cars left to cross the line.
Yeah, only a few cars left. Here comes Blade down the final corner. They have survived the series or the race that they are named after. Barely,
they look happy. They look happy to finish the race, even if it wasn't leading and winning silver.
Wait, this might be a position change. It's going to be close.
It's not.
Oh, it's not.
It's a lap down. I think it's a lap down. But there we go. That's almost everybody crossing the line. We're just waiting for the toaster, MNU, to come around the final corner and end their ordeal. They'll finally be able to get in and dry off their electronics, I believe. But well done for everybody for surviving. We say that there might be one blast off. Not quite. MNU just about makes it across the line. And that is the end of the race.
Yeah, they had a little bit of a lock-up going into the last corner, but they were able to make it, and that is everyone across the line. Hats off to all of them. We did not have a single D and F, and, you know, they gave it their all, and that was great. Now it is race done. We can say, for science, we can do it. Will we do it again? I pray to God. Though now saying it is probably, yeah, I'm pretty sure I just jinxed it.
We'll see. It might happen again. Hopefully not for some time. I think everybody needs a nice dry down, a nice cold shower, warm shower, anything. Wash themselves off of the sweat, wash themselves off of the rain, get themselves nice and relaxed after that. We can say, again, well done for Wushel for taking the win. Well done, Connor Wolf, for the pole position, second place and fastest lap. An incredible performance for their first drive with us. Simon had a great job still taking P3. Randomly P4. P5 is Weiss taking the AM win. Auraz in P6 taking the silver win. Blade P7. Newt 8th. Swingley 9th. Cohen in 10th. Jay 11th. MNU was able to gain a couple of places in the end, is P12. Zephyr rounds off the AM grid, and 1V didn't have a great race, but 10 laps down, but still did the best they could, held on commendably to take the final place in P14. No DNFs, and I will say I am shocked by that the most.
Yeah, I am also shocked by that. but we'll happily take it, and that will be this one-off done. So, I think this went as well as I think this went really well, to be honest.
I think it went better than expected. It was difficult to keep track of some of the things that were going on, and there was a lot more battling than we were expecting. The top four drivers, especially at the beginning, showing that you can race in these conditions, even if you probably shouldn't.
Yeah, probably not. It is definitely not advised to do races in these conditions, but we did, and it pretty much went pretty well.
Absolutely, definitely so. Any surprises from you today besides the lack of DNFs?
You know, not really. I think this was, it went the way it more or less went. There were incidents, but more people just did what they were supposed. Like, more or less, there was a fairly good race, I would say.
A lot cleaner than we were expecting. Again, it was less driver v driver and more driver v elements, and everybody in the end, ordeal or not, has prevailed. So well done to everybody who raced today. Simufur showing that even if we shouldn't, we still can, and in this case, we did.
Yep. And I will say with that, I would say it's. I don't think we're gonna do interviews, but I think at this point we should. That will be that.
I believe that is the end of the stream from us today. Thank you to everybody who's shown up to watch the race. I hope it's been as entertaining to watch as it has been to commentate. Thank you, Wolfin, for showing up for commentary, and thank you, Denak, for all of the work you have been doing to get this broadcast going, the cameras going, even with a couple of technical difficulties. We'll blame the rain. The rain was frazzling all of our equipment here.
Yeah. But on that, my name is Wolf, and next to me is Azure, and we'd like to thank you all for joining.
Yes, thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening, whatever you're doing, and we will hopefully see you soon, even though it'll probably be me on the track.
Yeah. All right. Have a good one.